favorite players. It is one-stop shopping. Candidly, it is an absolute must for any sports fan as we begin this new era of ESPN. And we begin a new hour on ESPN's Get Up. Delighted to have you with us on this Tuesday. Hope you had a nice holiday weekend. Maybe you're a little out of your comfort zone or out of your regular routine yesterday. Now we are back, ready to go. The NFL season kicks off on Thursday night. And the college weekend wrapped up last night with one of the most anticipated games and debuts in recent memory. That's Bill Belichick, and as he walked out onto the field, that would be about the best moment that he had last night. There were superstars in attendance: Michael Jordan, Roy Williams, Lawrence Taylor, and then J-Mac. It couldn't have started better. First drive, they go right down the field.
Crown him. Bill Belichick can do it at any level. Bring the celebs out, show everybody in the crowd this is going to be a dominating UNC performance.
Don't show them at any point after that, however, because TCU would then answer early, and often that's Jordan Dwyer with a tying timeout, and then J-Mac, the play that completely turns the game. It's a three-point game late in the half, and then boom, Bud Clark with a pick six.
Bud Clark cruising down the sideline. Whole family is back home saying, "That's my Bud." It's in there for 6.
20-7. And then after the halftime adjustments, D. Wood, this is the first play from scrimmage in the second half.
Yeah, that was what was so disappointing to me. You talk about a legendary coach known for halftime adjustments, and to see that on the very first play, very disappointing.
Kevorian Barnes with a 75-yard touchdown run, and then it's more of the same. This is a 37-yard scoop and score for Devin Deal. In all, Carolina gives up 41 unanswered points, and fans were headed for the exit, and D. Wood was getting his beauty sleep, and it was just an absolute disaster for the legendary coach wearing Carolina blue. The final score, 48-14. Those 48 points that Carolina allowed, the most in any game that Bill Belichick has ever allowed in his head coaching career. He coached 511 games in the National Football League, never allowed 48 points. Here he was after the game.
Yeah, look, they just outplayed us. They outcoached us. I mean, they were just better than we were tonight. That's all there was to it. They controlled both sides of the line of scrimmage. Their skilled players played well, and, you know, they did a lot more things right than we did. So, you know, give them credit for being the better team. They certainly deserve it.
All right, we have complete team coverage here, including Greg McElroy and Heather Dinich. And Heather, for those just joining us here off the top of a new hour, you were telling us earlier this should not have been a surprising result.
No, not when you have 70 new players on your roster. Completely revamped defense, unproven players at the skill positions. And we've seen this experiment before. Deion Sanders did it at Colorado. He had Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And even that's not enough to compete for a conference championship, let alone a national championship immediately, right? So when you look at UNC, it's not a surprise. There's no NFL preseason to figure out what works and what doesn't. What was a surprise was the fact that this didn't look like a Bill Belichick coached team in terms of fundamentals, discipline, so many missed tackles, and that's why they wound up on the wrong side of history.
Now, Greg McElroy, I would say, having watched that game in its entirety, I thought it was unfair that they decided in the rules to allow TCU to have 12 players on the field on both sides of the ball. But watching the game, that is what it looked like. After that first drive, the entire time, I was honestly thinking to myself, why do they have more players on the field? So why did it look like that? It seems to me, and look, I'm not trying to absolve Bill of any of this. I understand. He's the star. He's the reason that our whole special was down there. He's ultimately, you know, the buck stops with him. But it did not take a football genius to recognize in that game that they were just outmanned, Greg, right? In pretty much every way that a team can be.
No, in a massive way, Greeny. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. And if you look at what was troubling, when you look at how TCU has traditionally attacked teams, like they want to take shots, like they're going downfield. So when you're playing TCU, you say no big plays allowed. Bill Belichick always asks the question, who and how? Well, who can beat you? The quarterback. We found that out pretty quickly with Josh Hoover. How did they beat you? By taking shots. And they just allowed it to happen. They left one-on-one coverage on the outside, allowing guys to get behind them regularly. They couldn't generate any pass rush whatsoever. They were not sound in their disciplined run lanes, trying to stop the run. That, to me, was what was most problematic, is that, yes, it was a referendum on the players and their ability and their continuity and their cohesiveness, but it was also scheme. as well. And that, to me, is something that is very, very concerning because Bill Belichick is a master tactician, a guy that's phenomenal from the first half to the second half. And the bigger the stage, the better the game plan, or at least it has been in the past. That was not the case on arguably the sport's biggest stage on a Labor Day Monday night. They got to make adjustments and make adjustments quickly because the coaches did not necessarily put the players in the best chance to succeed with what they were doing schematically, offensively, and defensively.
All right, and I have two gentlemen sitting at my desk here who both played for Bill Belichick during his coaching career, and I always used to make the observation, Bill always struck me as someone who would have been much happier if there were no fans at all in the sport. He just wanted to coach football, didn't like any of the stuff that came with it. And look, I'm sure, look, for a college program, having Michael Jordan and Lawrence Taylor and Mia Hamm, there are obviously reasons why that are good. But can we just put up the photo of his post-game press conference? What you just heard from him in that sound, it was sort of the camera was focused, but that's where he was standing. This is what was going on. Looks like he interrupted a wedding in order to have his post-game comments. And I would just ask J-Mac, as one who played for him, does that look like somewhere Bill Belichick would want to be standing after a football game?
We've all seen the clips of him going up there with the mic flag and he's fumbling. I would have imagined that he would have went up there and just started popping every single balloon before the press started. Like, what the hell is this? Who did this?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I don't know what that is.
It seems very un-Belichickian, right? And D. Wood, you were with him early in the tenure in New England. You won a couple championships there. What did you make of all this?
He looks absolutely ridiculous. Like, seriously, like like the things that Bill would admonish everybody for, the fact that Bill Belichick is sitting there with a whole bunch of balloons after he got, obliterated on national television. Like, this is ridiculous. Is
it a birthday party? I mean, what exactly?
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? That's exactly what I would think Bill would say. What are we doing here?
Graz, you were making an interesting point earlier as well about sort of the bigger picture of all of this.
The bigger picture, like this isn't the first time that we've looked at what's going on at North Carolina since Belichick got there and said, what are we doing here?
Right.
Right. So to come out and lay that level of an egg in the first game is very alarming. It has to get better because this is what he's going to do. I don't think he goes back to the NFL. I think the NFL has more or less moved on from him at this point. So if he's not a success at this, it'll be a little bit of a stain on a otherwise tremendous legacy, especially because of all this sort of unserious stuff that's gone on around that program since he got there, which is very out of character.
A glimmer of hope. He's been 0-3 in his head coaching debuts, including this one. So it's not all bad. You look at it, the one thing I did learn is watching him on defense, Bill, you think about those great years in New England, whether it was Ty Law, Asante Samuel, Darrell Reeves, Stephon Gilmore. He's had great cornerbacks that have allowed him to play the scheme he's tried to play. Greg mentioned the fact that those guys were one-on-one on the outside. He's done a ton of that in his career. He doesn't have the guys right now to go win it. So I don't think he's asked, to your point, for all the publicity, all of the cameras, especially in year one when they had to get 70 different guys in there.
Yeah, Gilmore's a free agent. Does he have any eligibility left? Like maybe he could...
Gilmore damn near my age.
The rules are crazy now in college football. They could. I did mention in the tease earlier this morning, one room for a glimmer of hope. You were on a Bill Belichick team 1 year that started out its season with a 31-0 loss to the Buffalo Bills. And after that game, so that was a shellacking, you were on that team. After that game, your team rebounded to go 17-1. There's a D. Wood on that day, September 7th,
looking real spry.
2003.
Yeah.
You rebounded after this horrendous
I got killed
loss.
at this. I got killed.
You're
right
not
there.
blocking nobody.
No, I got killed right there. Like literally.
Was that you getting taken out on that?
Oh, yeah.
We've seen that before.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point.
no.
Oh, wait.
Double
Who
trainer.
did that?
Two trainers.
I didn't even know that was coming. Anyway, the point of the story is your team lost 31-0 to the Bills.
Yes.
You then rebounded, went 17-1 and won the Super Bowl. So what do you remember about the aftermath of that game and how Bill turned it around?
Well, I don't remember much from that game itself. But what I will say is that was leading up to that game. We had released Lloyd Malloy, who was very popular in the New England locker room. That really caused a lot of angst in the locker room. Drew Bledsoe was also the quarterback in Buffalo. Week 1 in Buffalo, we got absolutely shellacked after the game. I think it was like the first time I actually saw Bill Belichick have regret and literally apologize to guys in the locker room because he knew, like, after, like, okay, this is a big deal. We know what Malloy meant to the team. And we did rally after, like you said, we rallied, and coincidentally, we won the last game of the year. We played Buffalo, and we beat them 31-0. So, and on our way to winning the championship. So, things can reverse, and you know, it can be a glimmer of hope moving down the stretch. But that was not a Bill Belichick coach team last night, from what I saw against TCU.
I mean, to me, it's like he has to recover. It has to get better. You can tell me about personnel deficiencies between them and TCU. It can't be 34 points worth, right? I mean, like something, there needs to be a better sense of something, discipline, effort, whatever it was, because that was a total.
Greg, put a ribbon on it. Help us put a ribbon on this thing here. What does it look like going from here for Bill?
Well, I think first and foremost, he's got to figure out who his quarterback is. His starting quarterback, Gio Lopez, got hurt in the game. Max Johnson should be the guy going forward. He looked actually very good. Son of Brett Johnson, coming off a brutal injury in the season opener last year, but has played a lot of football. He can be a bit of a steadying force. The good news is the schedule really lightens up from here. On paper, going into the season, they were underdogs, clear underdogs in 3 games. That might be a few more now, but at the same time, I do think the path will level out. And best coaches make the biggest jump from week 1 to week 2. And it should hopefully happen for North Carolina this year. But the gloss is off, because last night was not just about players, not just about execution or a lack thereof. Last night was about the coaching staff's inability to put them in position to play at a high level and to at least defend what TCU has traditionally done well.
Heather, final word.
Listen, Bill Belichick has nothing to prove. The man won 6 Super Bowls. Okay, let's leave that there. But moving forward, to Greg's point, this is a team that might only win 4 games per ESPN's FPI. But the reality is, it doesn't always translate from NFL to college, from college to NFL, that success. This is different. As much as we compare it, this is not the NFL.
No, it is certainly not, and his quarterback is not Tom Brady, and they're going to have a lot of things to figure out as they work their way forward. Guys, outstanding. Thank you. Coming up, we got Micah Parsons in his new colors. But suddenly, is there real concern about his back? Will he even play Sunday in an opening showdown with Detroit? We'll get to that, and then his old team will kick off 2 days from today in Philadelphia. And if we're going to Philadelphia, there's only one place to make our first stop, and that is with Sal Paolantonio. Now it really feels like back on Get Up. We are counting it down to NFL kickoff. We are at 2 days, and the season will kick off in Philadelphia, where the defending champion Eagles will raise their Super Bowl banner before turning the page to this season. Their center, Cam Jurgens, was asked about the pregame ceremony and all the pomp and circumstance that will come with it.
Who gives a damn if we're hanging something or whatever? We're playing the Cowboys, you know. What other multiple motivations do we need, you know? I think everybody's going to be pretty fired up.
That's what you want your center to say. And here he is. You know there's a game in Philadelphia when Sal Paolantonio is live with us on Get Up. I can't tell you how good it is to have you back, Sal. So give us a sense of the energy both inside and outside of the facility in Philadelphia leading up to this game.
Michael, it's Dallas week in Philadelphia, and it's come early this year. This is a once-in-a-generation event. The Philadelphia Eagles playing the Dallas Cowboys at home here in Philadelphia for the first time week 1 since 1970. It's been 55 years. The last time that happened was 55 years ago at Franklin Field. You see all this gray hair? I do remember. I was there. I remember, Michael. And it is a huge ticket in town, monster game. I talked to one ticket broker, 717 in Bucks County, 717 Events and Tickets. They said those touchdown club tickets, the so-called Mike Trout seats, they sell for $5,000 a piece for Thursday night's game against the Cowboys, a once-in-a-lifetime event with the banner going up.
Obviously, the big story leading into this has come from Dallas with the departure of Micah Parsons and all of the drama that surrounded that. Offensively, from the Eagles' standpoint, how does that change what they're looking to do Thursday night against Dallas?
Well, in the NFL, as you know, Michael, coaches coach against coaches. And Nick Sirianni knows the defensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, Matt Eberflus, so well. They coached together in Indianapolis for 3 years. And Eberflus is so good at stunts and twists and creative schemes on his defensive front to make sure he gets pressure without blitzing. Now, going against this Eagles offensive line, you're going to need that, especially because you don't have one of the best defensive players in the NFL, Micah Parsons. He's in Green Bay. And the Eagles obviously were game planning for number 11. They have been through his entire career in the division. Without Micah Parsons, this will be difficult for Matt Eberflus to do that kind of thing that he wants to do. You know, he's going to have to stack the box like Steve Spagnuolo did against the Eagles in Super Bowl 59, but the same result could happen. Jalen Hurts sees that box stacked to stop Saquon Barkley. He'll go over the top to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. He'll do that little swing pass to Dallas Goedert. If you look at Jalen Hurts in Super Bowl 59, so cerebral. His ability pre-snap and post-snap to get out of bad plays, get out of bad run plays and into good pass plays and vice versa was really unmatched. That's why he was the Super Bowl MVP.
You pointed out in your notes to us last night, and we pointed it out earlier, that the Eagles scored 75 points in their two matchups against Dallas last year, and Jalen Hurts didn't even play in one of those games. It was Kenny Pickett. So that's the one side of it. How about the other side, though? The Cowboys' offense against an Eagles defense that has lost some significant pieces from last year's championship team, Sal.
And Michael, Vic Fangio, the new defensive coordinator of the Eagles, talked about this yesterday in his press conference. There are bona fide stars that they have to worry about on this offense. The training camp reports that I've got about Dak Prescott is moving well, throwing the football on the run, which is his calling card during training camp. He now has George Pickens to go along with CeeDee Lamb. In the last 3 seasons, those two receivers have 7,143 receiving yards, second only in the last 3 seasons to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So it's going to be very difficult to double CeeDee Lamb. And the thing about Brian Schottenheimer, the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who will be calling the plays, he likes to use a lot of pre-snap motion so he can get a free release of his wide receivers. And you look at the Eagles defense, and I got the flip card in my hand, and at the left cornerback position, replacing Darius Slay, it's either Adoree Jackson or Jacorian Bennett, who they just got from Las Vegas, or Mac Williams, the rookie, who Vic Fangio loves. It's going to be mix and match at left cornerback position. And then at the safety position where they're missing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who they shipped off to Houston, it could be Sidney Brown or a player to be named later, maybe Cooper DeJean. You never know what you're going to get with Vic Fangio. And when you got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and you know Dallas is going to want to throw the football right off the bus to get an early lead, Michael, this is all hands on deck for the Philadelphia defense.
And my corner of the morning is J-Mac, and you were making that point exactly, that the corner who's going to be lined up opposite George Pickens is the one who's going to have to earn his check that night.
He's going to have to earn it all Thursday night. And to what Sal's saying, too, is so important, that use of motion. Because now not only do you get free releases, but you also get the matchups you want. So they'll be able to move CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens across the formation to make sure he's lined up across whoever that person is filling in for Darius Slay, whether it's Jacorian Bennett, whether it is Adoree Jackson. They are going to earn a check all night long.
And the number of times we have over the years heard our analysts, Dan, you and I, heard this group complaining about that stagnant offense that Dallas is running, complaining that it looked like something out of the past, the offense that Mike McCarthy ran. And look, he was a terrific offensive coach, but this is going to look a lot more like most of the better offenses in the NFL do.
I mean, I would think Brian Schottenheimer going to put his stamp on it, and more places for them to go with the ball, right? Than when it was just CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. George Pickens is not just a good number 2 receiver. He's a guy that was a number 1 receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers last year and is that caliber of player. So we'll see what Dallas's run game looks like, how they can put that together. That's going to depend on the offensive line a lot. But when Dak Prescott drops back, he's going to have more places to go with the ball.
What do you see? What do you expect from the Dallas offense in this game? Do they play big against the Eagles on Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Brian Schottenheimer, I played under Brian Schottenheimer when he was with the Jets. He wants to run the football. Who's his father? Marty Schottenheimer, Marty ball. So they're going to want to run the ball, but that's going to set up everything down the field. You know, and that's where you get those huge explosives down the field. So like Sal, like everyone has said, he's going to motion, he's going to do all that, he's going to run, but he's going to take his shots down the field to test out that Philadelphia secondary.
Sal, give us a final word.
Yeah, you can't get behind to the Philadelphia Eagles because they slammed the door in the fourth quarter with Saquon and that superior offensive line. They've got to get to a lead early in this football game. I anticipate them throwing the football again and testing, as D. Wood just said, testing that secondary of the Eagles early in the game and see how they respond, Michael.
It feels like football season. Sal Palantonio is back live in Philly. We'll see you all week. It kicks